elder law, like running, demands endurance, strategic planning, goal setting, adaptability, and focus on longevity for a fulfilling journey into the golden years. I'm Hillary Topper, and this is Hillary Topper on Air, the Endurance Sports Edition. Today, we have a special guest with us. Her name is Katie Ann Trotta, and she's an associate with the Russo Law Group. Welcome to the show, Katie Ann.
Thank you very much, Hillary. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I grew up on Long Island. I'm the oldest of three. I love my siblings dearly, very, very family oriented. I played sports growing up. I was very big into soccer at first and then transitioned to volleyball in high school and softball, and I played softball in college. So as an athlete, I always concentrated on endurance, making sure I could get through games and tournaments. Running was a big portion of that preparation. When I went to law school, I wanted to go and be like Jerry Maguire. I was into sports, wanted to be the sports agent and all that fun stuff that came with it. And then right before in college, really, I lost my dad. And he was a very, very big part of my life. And it was devastating to me at 19. And I realized then that in law school, maybe it wasn't so much about being Jerry Maguire. I wanted to help people go through the times that I went through and my family went through. And I felt that I would be able to resonate with them and help them through those trying times. And that's how I ended up in this area of law.
Wow, thank you for sharing that story with us. That's
Of course.
really compelling. So you work out a lot.
I do.
You're a runner.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about when you started running. What your favorite race is, if you've done any.
So I started running when I was younger. I would do a lot of running in terms of just being in shape for sports. It's always part of your conditioning, whether you're trying out doing Indian runs around the beach when I was in high school, or doing like laps around the track. We always had to run a lot when I was younger, and I kind of carried that through my life. I feel like running is something that helps you clear your head and is good stress relief. You burn off some steam, so it's pretty good that way. That's really when I started and continued.
So what's your favorite race?
So I'm not a very fast runner, but I do like running 5Ks. Quick, easy,
Awesome.
and then done. I don't know that I have it in me to train for a full marathon. That's a lot.
It is a lot. It
Yeah,
is a lot.
yeah.
So do you run a lot of races on Long Island?
I have. So I live in Long Beach now, so I do some 5Ks along the boardwalk, which is nice, and I've ran some in New Jersey as well. I like the 5Ks that are for charity events, really. So I know I do like the Wounded Warriors, help out with the Teresa Foundation and children with special needs, some 5Ks for them as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So you're in estate planning, right? And how do you correlate running to estate planning?
So there's actually a lot of comparisons that you could do. Just like you set goals in with running, how many miles you're going to run, the amount of time you're going to run, you set certain goals. Same thing with estate planning. You're creating a puzzle. You want to put the pieces and come up with a plan to ultimately reach the goal of providing for your loved ones and setting everything up that way. Similar to running, in order to stay in shape, you got to be consistent. You're consistently going to be working. You're going to be hitting the gym, running every day, or at least a few times a week. And maintenance, right? You're going to be working on certain things. Same thing with your estate plan. You have to set your plan and then constantly check it just to make sure it's still what you want. There's a lot of factors that could happen during your life, as we know, births, deaths, marriages, divorces, all things that could happen. You got to constantly maintain and be consistent with checking your plan. Also, just like with running, you want endurance, right? You want to strive to be able to run that 5K or maybe even a marathon one day, and you're kind of train towards that goal. With estate planning, you're gonna have your long-term perspective, right? You wanna make sure that not a that everything is okay during your lifetime and that everything's gonna pass through to your beneficiaries or who you want them to pass through upon your passing. There's also teamwork when it comes to running. I know that's more of an individual sport. However, you like to train with people. Running by yourself could be boring. You have your music, you listen to people, you collaborate with certain other runners, see what they do and everything. And same thing with your estate plan. You could put together a team of individuals to help you achieve your goals. You have your attorney, your financial advisor, an insurance agent. That's all very important.
So, how has your passion for running heightened your awareness of the importance of elder law, particularly in healthcare directives and end of life planning?
So I think it's definitely very helpful being a runner. It's good for your heart, being conditioned and things like that in terms it's to help you stay healthy, and that's why a lot of people do it. I can't say that everybody probably loves to run, but you do it to stay healthy and keep your heart and cardiovascular system in shape. Same thing with long-term care planning, asset protection, and elder law preparations. You want to take goals to set goals to make sure that you are achieving what you need to for that as well. Like I said before, it's being consistent and maintaining your plan to make sure it's exactly what you want. I think that running or even just walking is something that could help with your healthcare.
Yeah, totally. There's been way too many races that I've been to where people, maybe, in their 50s, 60s, 70s, they collapse on the field.
Mhm.
And it's really scary. I mean, sometimes they don't make it, sometimes they do. I mean, what should you do, like, in terms of planning? Like, we're out there, we're doing these endurance races. They're not, I mean, yes, they're good for our bodies, but sometimes they're not the safest thing to do. Um, what do we need in order to protect ourselves and our families?
Absolutely. So, in order to protect yourself, I think a good place to start is your advance directives, your power of attorney, your healthcare proxy, a HIPAA authorization, a living will, if you so desire, and a burial designation. During your lifetime, those documents are going to be very helpful to you. Power of attorney is going to assist you with financial decisions in the event you're unable to give direction. Someone could handle your banking, pay your bills. Healthcare proxy, in the event you're unable to make medical decisions, somebody could make them for you. HIPAA authorization, so people could have access to your medical records. By people, I mean your healthcare agent. This way, they can make an informed decision to give you the best care that you need. A living will, we'll talk about your end of life decisions. And then the burial designation is probably the most morbid of all of them. Talks about how you want the disposition of your remains upon your passing. Other than that, I think trust could be very beneficial to people. Setting up a plan for probate avoidance and also being consistent. It could be if it's a revocable trust, you could update it, make sure what you want for your family for the future.
I mean, this might sound like a crazy question, but I think some people may be under the impression that estate planning is for people who are rich. Could you clarify who would want or need an estate plan?
Sure, that's easy. Everyone should have their own estate plan. The advanced directives, like I said, they're going to help you during your lifetime. I'll share with you one really important piece of information that I learned from my experience with my dad. So before my dad passed away, I was 19, so I was young, but he was in a coma and he didn't have a power of attorney. So something as simple as calling up the phone company, we need to change the plan. I needed to get my brother and sister on it. We couldn't do that.
Mm,
They didn't want to talk to us because nobody had power of attorney and my dad was in a coma. He couldn't make the call or anything.
mhm.
So nobody ever plans for something like that. You don't think that's going to happen to you or anything. So power of attorney is definitely something that would be very helpful during your lifetime. Healthcare proxy in that similar situation. Luckily, my dad had my mom that was able to assist with certain things, but a healthcare proxy in the event he wasn't able to make decisions for himself. So somebody needed to be at the switch. Having a healthcare proxy is something you need. These are things that could happen to anybody. Um,
Yeah.
no, no one has a crystal ball, right? Also, with planning, you want to, in terms of your last will and testament or trust, you want to do things that's going to create the puzzle that you want and set up your family the way that you want, not the way that the state says it's going to be. If you have minor children, minors can't hold title to assets, right? So you need to make sure that they're getting the money in a protective way. Similarly, if you have people in your family that are under a disability, you want to make sure that the assets are going to pass them in a way that's not going to affect them with their benefits or any type of programs that they are receiving. So estate planning is really for everybody. You need to make sure that you're coming up with a puzzle that and creating the picture you want to have created.
Thank you. Thank you for shedding light on that.
Of
So
course.
before we move forward, I have to say that I am so appreciative of our sponsor, and let's take the time out to thank them. Please support our sponsor and tell them that you heard about them on Hillary Topper on Air. Special thanks to Play Try Swim Bike Run, a retail and online bike shop and multi-sport specialist. Now back to you, Katie Ann. So how do you advocate for incorporating elder law into conversations about holistic health and aging?
So I think it's something that needs to be talked about amongst everybody. I think that it's very important to have the conversation about aging gracefully and making sure that as you age, everything's set up in the plan, like I said before, the puzzle that you want to create for your family and making sure all those pieces are put in together. I think that being healthy and giving yourself trying to give yourself longevity is something that's very helpful. It's just a matter of, again, putting all the pieces together so that you can have more peace of mind. And having the right people on your team to assist you achieve that peace of mind is very important.
So, what advice would you give fellow runners regarding the importance of proactive elder law and estate planning?
Absolutely. So in whether it's running or planning, you're preparing for the future, right? If you have no plan, you're planning to fail. You're trying to just like you're trying to run, you are setting goals every day. You're being consistent. You're maintaining your workout regimen. You are looking at the long-term perspective and seeing the benefits over the long term. Same thing with an estate plan. You got to constantly, set your goals, make sure you're doing what making sure your plan reaches those goals and helps you achieve those goals and maintaining the plan to make sure when you have more children or grandchildren you're incorporating them to your plan if you want to. It's both running and estate planning is a long-term perspective.
Mm, yeah. And also for aspiring attorneys who enjoy running,
Yeah.
how do you suggest balancing legal career with athletic pursuits?
I think that running is definitely a very good stress relief and helps you decompress. I know like today I started my morning off with a run. I don't drink coffee, so it definitely gets me going. And it's good to clear your head and help you think clear. Um,
Yeah.
it's definitely helpful as an attorney. I know that you need some moments where you can have that like outlet, and running is that for me. Or just
That's
working out
great.
in general for people could be their outlet.
Yeah, totally, totally. I mean, I think that everybody needs that outlet, especially, if you're going to law school. And let me
Absolutely.
let me ask you another question about law school.
Sure.
So, I mean, do people go into law school thinking that they're going to be an elder law and estate planning attorney? Or is it usually the same route that you go through where, you started thinking you were doing one thing and ended up doing something else?
I think it really depends. I think a lot of people, some of my friends from law school that had parents that were attorneys, who did elder law, they followed in their footsteps. It really depends on the person. So your first year of law school, you're taking things like contracts, civil procedure, real property torts, and you're kind of getting a feel for general areas of law. And then you could intern in areas that you might find some interest. And I think that that's really where you make your decision.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you have another endurance event coming up in October. Do you want to share it with our listeners?
Sure. I'm getting married in October. I'm very excited.
Yay. Yay. So
And talk
that's so
about
exciting.
endurance. We're recently engaged and we're doing the wedding in 6 months.
That's awesome.
Yep.
It's better that way than waiting, a couple of years. A lot of people do
Exactly.
that. And it's like, oh my God, how could you do that?
Too much. Just running the
Yeah,
marathon now, talking to all the vendors, getting the venue, the church, and things like that. And then it's gonna be a sprint, I guess, towards the end. But
definitely going to be a sprint. That's awesome.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Hillary.
So tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you and, if they're interested in getting some type of service, whether it be advanced directives or living will or what have you, where could they get in touch with you and find out more about the Russo Law Group?
Absolutely. Anybody could call our office. I could give you the telephone number, 516-683-1717. Again, that's 516-683-1717. You could check out our website, vjrussolaw.com, or you could shoot me an email. My email and
Awesome.
everything's on the website.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much, Katie Ann, for being on the show. This was great. It was really informative. And I want to thank our sponsor one more time, Play Try, Swim, Bike, Run, a retail bike shop and multi-sport specialist. For more information, visit playtrystore.com. I'd also like to thank you, our listeners, for tuning in. If you want more information about this show or any other show, visit our website at hillarytopper.com or atriathletesdiary.com, or you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Alexa, Apple Podcasts, you name it, we're out there. Have a great week and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me, Hillary.